Welcome everybody to Straight Shoot a Wrestling Podcast. I am back once again with Wheezy Blonde. Wheezy, how you doing, sweet?
Fabulous. How are you doing?
Oh, you know what? I just think we have been overloaded with professional wrestling lately, and we just have more for you.
We're just cranking it out. We're never tired of it. Here we go.
Never.
Love wrestling.
We're recording on a Monday, but Wheezy, we come with a topic today that I have seen a lot of debate since WWE Backlash in San Juan, Puerto Rico. A lot of people have been talking online, from what I've seen, what of these three events really put on the best show? Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales, Elimination Chamber in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and WWE Backlash in Puerto Rico. I think we should try and break this down with our opinions. And listen, we are a pro wrestling channel. We talk about everything wrestling. You guys can have your opinions, but Wheezy and I are just going to run the gauntlet on a couple of things. But first off, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow, put the bell on, and make sure you leave a comment about cars. What's your favorite car down in the comments? And if you last till the end of this video, we will have another subject for you to comment on at the end of the video. Wheezy, how do you feel about this topic?
I haven't given it a whole lot of thought. I think when someone brings it up and asks, I think I have one answer in mind. So I'm curious if after we break it down, my answer might change.
Okay, cool. So,
and you were actually at two of them, weren't you?
Yeah. So you
might have a bit of a different perspective with that.
So I will say this: I have watched Clash at the Castle back on television, and then my experience watching it on television compared to being at the event is completely different.
Okay.
Elimination Chamber is exactly the same. My experience at Elimination Chamber, truthfully, I swear on this, I hated Elimination Chamber at the event. Hated it.
Did you?
Well, I was sitting, so I was on the floor. I was eight rows back on the floor, camera front. I couldn't see a thing. That's what
I always think about floor seats too.
I couldn't see a thing. Unless you're front row, there's no point in buying a floor seat. I'm just saying. But then I watched it back and oh my God, what an event. I loved it. And then obviously we all watched Puerto Rico, and I think that one's the fresh one, so there might be a little bit of bias, but we're going to break this whole thing down. We're going to go by match card. You and I discussed how we were going to break this down before we started the video. We decided on, did the card meet expectations? So the booked matches, and did those matches deliver, basically? And we're going to do a rating scale out of 10 for all of these. So it's going to be a total out of 30. 10.
I don't know why that popped in my head.
I think it's synonymous with pro wrestling now. Second thing we're going to do, Wheezy, is crowd participation. Listen, this one might be a landslide. It might not be a landslide because of how many people were in each venue. Two were very similar. One was astronomical. So we'll get into how the crowd was for the entire show, what they made you feel, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about my experience because being in the crowd was just something different for some of them. And finally, wow factor. Wheezy, you can explain the wow factor side of things because we discussed it and you kind of like took this one from me. So explain how we're going to describe wow factor.
Wow factor, coming up with, or if it's meeting expectations, or were there any surprises, anything that happened that you didn't expect to happen that really like just knocked your socks off?
Yeah.
Just wow. The wow.
Exactly. So it's
wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. So Wheezy, we're going to start. Let's work our way back because I think Backlash is so fresh that we can really talk to it more, and then we can go down the cards for everything else. So let's start with Backlash. Okay. Backlash was held in San Juan, Puerto Rico. It was the first event in, I believe, 15 years that, for like a major event for WWE. It was held on May 6, 2023, and the attendance at the event was 17,944. And it was kind of cool because we got to see an early taste of it on the SmackDown beforehand, but we're just talking about like the crowd, and the crowd was already hot on the SmackDown. So that was really exciting. Let's talk about the card. I'll read out the card and then we'll break it down one by one.
Okay.
Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, Seth freaking Rollins versus Omos.
Sorry.
Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. By the way, the Bianca match was for the Raw Women's title. The Austin Theory match was for the United States title. Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight. The Bloodline versus Riddle, Owens, and Sami Zayn. And then Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. On paper, Wheezy, you could have billed this as a WrestleMania.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. This is stacked. It's stacked.
This card is stacked. You have the who's who of all the divisions. You have Bad Bunny, who is a homegrown Puerto Rican that is coming to prove what he's worth and that he can do it alone against a fellow Puerto Rican in Damian Priest. So which
Bad Bunny.
I know, and you're like,
literally Bad Bunny.
I know. So how do you want to break this down? Do you want to start with the Bianca Belair Io Sky match?
Sure. We'll start from top to bottom.
Okay. So Bianca Belair, Io Sky, on paper, you're like, it's a fallout from WrestleMania. It's a women's championship match, but
didn't expect the title to change at all.
Did not expect the title to change at all. It didn't. No. The one thing I will say, though, these women put on one hell of a match.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, when you said Io Sky was going to be in it, like, no disrespect to Io Sky, but she's not Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley level. Becky Lynch, Bayley. She's still Asuka. She's still making her way up.
Well, and outside of, if you really don't normally watch NXT, you haven't seen her as a singles competitor really either, because she's been in Damage Control since she's been back. So I didn't really know a lot about her as a singles performer. And I will say it made me want to see her do more. It made me want to see her have a solo run for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And I really think being the third longest match on the card, by the way, at 18 minutes, that is one of those ones where you're like, they were given what they deserved, and they did put on one hell of a match. And I think for something that I didn't expect much for, I was very, very impressed. So
I think most people were.
Another match, the fourth longest match on the card, and a match that nobody expected anything good to come out of it. Seth freaking Rollins versus Omos.
Homo sapiens rise. I have to. I'm so sorry.
Stop it.
I have to.
Stop it.
I can't help it.
But seriously, like, did you, when you heard about this, you're like, why?
I think there was a small part of me that was like, why? Considering Omos had just done the same thing prior with Brock Lesnar. So I'm like, okay, what are they doing with Omos? Why? Mm-hmm. Why is this happening? But I wasn't. When it comes to those kinds of matches, I tend to not err on the side of negativity because Seth Rollins is in the match. It's Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same way. Not everyone agrees with this, but I felt the same way when he was with Brock Lesnar too, because I love Brock Lesnar. I don't care. Shut up. I think anything that Brock Lesnar does is great. And I think the same about Seth Rollins.
Fair enough. And so
I had good expectations. I did.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this match. It's Seth Rollins. It's not going to be, I don't think I've ever seen a match that Seth Rollins been in that's been bad. I don't even think I've seen Seth Rollins in a mediocre match. I think. No. And he kind of made us care about Omos in this match. Omos did do enough to get himself over in that match as well. So Homo sapiens can rise on this one. And I'm going to say, yeah, okay, it did deliver.
Big man was moving. He was moving.
Oh, yeah. Theory versus Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed for the United States title in a triple threat match that was the shortest match on the card at 6 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to run with this one. This was the biggest disappointment on this card.
I went in with low expectations.
I didn't expect a title change, but I expected something better than what we got. I think I called it saying it was going to be a stupid, screwy finish, that Theory was going to steal the pin the exact way he did. And it's almost like Vince Russo booked this. You know, Sorry, hey, I got to get a shot in on Vince Russo all the time, but
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, I think I was so disappointed with this match for the quality that's in there. An ex-world champion, two potential future world champions. Like, I don't know. What do you got?
It was a throwaway match. It was absolutely the throwaway match. Didn't care about. I didn't care about it going into it.
Yeah.
I really didn't care about the outcome of it. I don't think it necessarily even served a purpose. I don't think it really did anything for anyone in the match.
No, and for how important they've been treating the mid-card titles over the last year and a bit, it was like mid 2000s Vince booking of the US title. Like it was so bad.
That's a good call out.
Yeah. All right. Next one, Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. Homegrown Zelina Vega versus ultimately the most powerful woman in professional wrestling at the moment in Rhea Ripley. You can have this one.
Going into it, it's Rhea Ripley. It's
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley. I think most of us knew that Zelina was probably not going to come out on top. And I think you and I had actually talked about that.
Yep.
But just the feelings, the emotions that came from it with Zelina being in the ring, with the crowd being behind her, and like you said, being of Puerto Rican descent and being there, and you love mommy,
Yeah.
but you were like, dang, like let's go Zelina. So it kept you really invested and you really cared about it. And obviously, Rhea came out on top and still looked strong, but it didn't make Zelina look bad, and
No.
Zelina was still a winner at the end of it.
Yeah, there was some really good spots in this match, even though it was only the second shortest match on the card. I don't think they could allow it to go any longer, because then I think it would have made Rhea look a little weak. But I think overall both competitors were winners.
For sure. And it didn't need to go any longer. It served its purpose.
Yeah.
It was good. It's memorable.
Yeah.
For being 7 minutes.
Exactly. So I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to go to Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Because there's the two longest matches on the card I want to talk about quickly, but not skip over them. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. You want this one?
Do I want this one?
Go ahead.
I love Brock Lesnar.
I know you do.
Okay. So this went longer than anyone expected it to, first of all, because everyone was like, it's just going to be a Brock squash match, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't at all. However, they did well after the fact. As far as continuing the story with them.
Yeah.
But it's not the one, like when I think of memorable matches from this night, it's not the one that really sticks in there. I get why they had to have it.
I think the only thing that's going to be memorable from this is Cody like putting on self tanner that was Brock Lesnar's blood, and coming out like 15 shades darker on his tan that he got from Puerto Rico the couple days before. Like I made a reference, and only people from Liverpool, England will understand this, but women in Liverpool tend to put on a lot of self tanner, but it comes out orange. And
you don't know me, I'm M to the B.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's like a scouse tan, and that's what I saw on Cody Rhodes that night. So that's what made it super memorable for me, because I was laughing. But yeah, like it was what the match needed to be. Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso versus Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn in a 6-man tag match. I was disappointed in this match.
I was too.
Okay, perfect. We're on the same lines with this.
It's okay.
Okay,
I'm glad to hear you say that, because people pitchforks.
Yeah, no,
What do you mean?
Listen, it had what it needed to have to start building that kind of civil war, beginning of the civil war between the Bloodline, which we're going through right now. But I could have had this match not be on the card and been on SmackDown or Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's more of what it felt like.
Yeah,
where it belonged. It
was one of those ones where like the titles weren't even on the line, because it was a 3-man tag. Like if it was a trios title match of some sort where they could have a trios title, I would have really enjoyed it. There would have been felt like more on the line, but I think we were just watching one half of this, and it took away from Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sammy, because all we were watching was for the cracks in the Bloodline.
Yep.
So
and that's what I think what the purpose of it was, and it just felt like a throwaway by the end of it.
yeah, exactly. So that one was really disappointing, but going into probably one of the best reactions I have ever seen since maybe The Rock and Austin returning. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a 25-minute San Juan street fight that had you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. And we are talking about a recording artist, a musician.
Who I didn't even know existed until he started being involved with the WWE. I had no idea who Bad Bunny was. Not a clue.
I knew a little bit, but I wasn't big on him. But now, don't get me wrong, Chambea is definitely on my gym playlist.
On my playlist.
Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. And you're lying if you say it's not. I'm saying right now. But fuck. Let's talk about the pop first. And hold on. Let's talk about the pop for Priest as well, because Damian Priest got love when he came out, but obviously it was overshadowed by.
They were there for Bunny. They love Bunny.
I don't think I've ever seen a crowd like vibe like this to someone.
And you weren't even there, but when you watch it back, I feel like when they are vibing, it's almost like you can feel the vibration of all of that, of the bass, of them singing. Like, it was crazy.
I'm sitting here like with goosebumps on my arms just thinking about it back. Like, it was so good. Even the match itself, they delivered. Bad Bunny performed as well as he could, but so much credit, and this is why Damian Priest is now being looked at in the back as a future main eventer. Like, it's already been stated by Sean Ross Sapp and Schmeltzer and whoever else, but like, it's already been reported that Damian Priest is now being looked at, and I think as of this recording, Damian Priest is facing Rollins for the title on Raw tonight, is he not?
I think you're right. Yeah,
I think he is. So like, as of this recording won't be out until later this week, but I think as of right now, he is facing Damian Priest is in the title contention, which is great because he deserves it. He he helped Bad Bunny through that whole match and made him look like a fucking rock star. Like, that table spot, he put him down so softly. Like, I think you and I talked about this.
We did.
Yeah, like, he put him down so soft, and it was so good to see. So I was super happy about that. So that's the match card. Okay, so let's talk about, did the card meet exceptions? Out of 10, and don't tell me your ranking until the end. Okay, so we're just going to run through it. So just write them down, and we're going to do it for all three. Okay, so for WWE Backlash in San Juan, Puerto Rico, did the card meet expectations out of 10? Crowd participation. I think that's a super easy one.
That's a real easy one.
Yeah. And wow factor of the entire show. Now, I look around at the wow factor. You might look at it differently, but yeah, I'm just. All right, Wheezy, tell me, what was your rating for card meeting expectations?
Card meeting expectations, I did an 8.75.
I did a straight 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Just because of the disappointing Bloodline match and the Austin Theory one. I just feel that there was a lot they could have done more with that. Crowd participation.
10. Big old 10.
100%.
Big old 10.
Wow factor.
I gave an 8, and I feel like my 8 is carried by Bad Bunny.
I gave a 7, and I feel my 7 is carried by Bad Bunny. Just because
outside of Bad Bunny, no big wow factor.
There was no big wow factor. So altogether, 24 out of 30 on my end.
I put an 8.75. Who am I? Mathematician over here.
Well, there might be some other ones just to see if we have to like get
what
a
straight.
What is
math? I gotta add.
All right.
You're making me do addition. I need a calculator. Hold,
you
please.
only put 8.75. So what did you do?
8.75 plus 10. I'm a college dropout. Leave me alone.
You don't
20.
need. What did you get? 27.75?
26.75.
Okay, 26.75. All right. Now let's run into Elimination Chamber from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The crowd was 17,271. Okay. The match card was Asuka, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Nikki Cross, and Raquel Rodriguez for the Raw Women's Championship in the Elimination Chamber. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in a singles match. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Balor and Mami with Dominic Mysterio in a mixed tag match. Theory, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, and Seth Rollins with the run-in of Logan Paul for the WWE United States Championship, and Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Wow.
There was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
For as few matches as there were, those feel complicated. Like there's a lot happening in the match.
Yeah, and I think we'll be able to break these down really quick. There was only 5 matches on this card. I'm going to start with Bobby versus Brock Lesnar. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Why?
Because it's Brock. Okay, he looked strong. All right. No. How did disqualification? What even happened?
It was the low blow. It was the reverse low blow.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, it was stupid. Okay, so literally out of every match next to one on all of these cards, this was the worst match in all of these 3 pay-per-views or premium live events. My personal opinion. There's only one that beats it, and we'll get to it. Women's Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship. I
didn't care about this match at all.
Neither did I.
When I was watching it, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
I was distracted. I'll be dead ass. I wasn't even really paying attention. I didn't really know what the outcome was going to be, but I didn't care.
Yeah,
I just didn't care.
Just looking at the names on the card, I'm sorry, but nobody's going to make me believe that Asuka is going to lose a chamber match to Raquel, Carmella, Natalya, and Nikki Cross. I would rather it just be Asuka versus Liv Morgan at that point.
Yeah,
that's it.
And those were the 2 that I thought. I was like, it's either going to be Asuka or it's going to be Liv, and those were my picks.
Yeah,
and it ended up being Asuka.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And that for as long as that went, did you see how long that was?
19 minutes and 30 seconds. That's crazy.
It dragged.
It did drag.
Remember sitting there watching it, just being like, is this done?
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah. So 2 matches to start the card off, and we're already talking negatively about it. What was an actually very good event. Edge, Beth Phoenix versus Finn and Rhea Ripley. Edge and Beth Phoenix defeated the Judgment Day in a mixed tag match that went 13 minutes and 50 seconds. Bravo, Beth Phoenix, for going almost 14 minutes.
Yes. She looked so good too.
Yeah, she did. She looked like a badass. She looked so good. Yeah, and in ring as well, she looked really good.
Yes.
I was about this match. There was a lot of spots in this match that I really enjoyed, but there's also times where you're like, okay, it's kind of just a filler match for this card. The other matches that we described already should have been more entertaining, and they underdelivered. But I was about this match.
I liked this match.
Yeah.
I did. I liked this match. I honestly didn't know what the finish was going to be. Mm-hmm. I wasn't completely sure. So that was kind of nice to go into it feeling like I don't know and being surprised at the end.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, we're getting through this card real quick.
There's only 5 matches.
In a 31 minute and 30 second U.S. title Elimination Chamber match, Austin Theory defeats Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, and Seth freaking Rollins with the help of Logan Paul. I loved this match.
It was good
until the end, and
you didn't like the Logan run in.
I left. The second Logan popped up, I walked out. I went and got a beer.
Really?
Yeah, I walked out of the arena. You can actually see me on the show when they turn to seeing what is it, Seth about to do the stomp. You see my hit row hat walking away.
Why?
I did not want this match to end with that exact event. I did not want it to be Logan Paul. If you want to carry Logan Paul Seth into WrestleMania, then do it somewhere else, but don't ruin a perfectly good Elimination Chamber match. One of the most stacked Elimination Chamber matches that we've seen through mid-card guys, except for Seth Rollins and Theory, and now Damian Priest, but guys that are developing themselves just for it to be ruined by a part-timer. I was furious. I was just like, I can't deal with this shit. It was a 4.5 out of 5-star Elimination Chamber match for me. The spots Montez doing some squirrel thing and dropping down on everything. I thought it was all great until the last minute.
Money talks, bud. Money talks.
Of course it does. So I really, what did you think of this one?
I really liked this one. I was not quite as pressed about the Logan Paul interference, but I understand, like, especially with your explanation. Totally get it. But yeah, I have a harder time. There's a lot going on in matches like this. There's so much going on. So my ADHD brain is like, whoa,
yeah,
what's going on? So it's hard to focus. So those one of the ones that I have to watch back.
I think overall, I think one of the best spots in that whole match though was Johnny Gargano and Seth Rollins just sitting on top of the
sitting on top of it
and just like looking at each other like boys that are about to crack a beer, and then they just start beating the shit out of each other. It was great. I loved it. Yeah, really good match. Roman Reigns versus Montreal's own Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. First off, I think everybody at Straight Shoot called this match 4 or 5 months before the event even happened.
Yeah.
Like, you knew Elimination Chamber is going to be in Montreal. It's going to be Sami.
This is what all this is building to. Everything that they did leading up to it, and it was leading up to that point.
Yeah.
For me, match of the night.
Hands down. I will say I was a little too far enjoying myself, so I don't fully remember everything because I couldn't really see everything. But
every SmackDown I've ever been to.
Yeah, I'll just say this: it was match of the night, and Sami and the crowd delivered for Sami. The one thing I hated about this is Kevin Owens took too long to come out. I think like right at the end, I think it was just too delayed. Like, Kevin's there. Like, why did it take that long? But that's just nitpicking. This was a great match. It was so good. So overall, this card was very short. The event felt like it lasted a long time though. It just seemed like it was all over the place. It was like only just under 2.5 hour match or card or something like that.
Yeah, I was surprised with how short it was. I really was, but pleasantly surprised. I like that.
So, okay. Did the card meet expectations?
Were there expectations?
I don't know.
Were there?
Yeah, I just put a number down. Crowd participation. Now I want to speak to this for a second because I don't know how it came across fully, because I do feel that there was a lot of pumped in sound on this event when I watched it back. That crowd was hot all night. I mean, nonstop. Like, I had almost no voice after the second match, just singing along with everyone. Okay. So that crowd, personally, from being there, that crowd was hot. So you're only going by what you saw on TV. I'm going by what I experienced in the arena. Okay. And then wow factor. Was there any wow factor in this premium live event? I think the only thing is just how well they told the story of the bloodline there. And the men's chamber match up until the end. Like, those were the two, wow, like, oh my God, these were great matches. All right. You ready? Oh God. Did the card meet expectations? What'd you put?
6.5.
I put 5 out of 10.
Oh, I thought you was okay.
Yeah, no,
okay. It makes me feel better.
I hated the women's chamber match and the Brock match. It's like
the whole first half of the card.
Yeah.
I had a hard time getting into it.
Yeah. Crowd participation.
I put an 8.
I put an 8 as well. Okay. I put an 8 as well, just because, yeah, it didn't meet Puerto Rico. I'll tell you that. It was good. And
that's what I was comparing it up against.
It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good. It might have been as loud, but it was good. And wow factor.
6.
I put a 7. Okay. All right. So math is hard.
Calculadora.
I bet people are like putting in the comments right now, yo guys, you come on, we got this for you.
This dumb blonde bimbo.
All right, so I got 20.
20.5.
All right.
I gotta have 1.5.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Decimals.
All right. All right, and now to the one with the largest card. Well, actually, no, it's the same amount, but it was absolutely the longest show. Had the most people, and I think it had the largest build going into it. WWE's Clash at the Castle, the first UK event since SummerSlam 1992, main evented by Bret Hart and the British Bulldog. I
didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, it was 30 years, and it was on September 3rd, 2022. It was a cross-brand promotion at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, of a sold-out crowd of 62,296.
What was how many?
62,296, nearly 63,000 people. Okay. And it was wow. Sitting in that arena was, I've been to soccer games or European football games that have had around 60,000, and it's eye-opening when you have something like that, like a NCAA college football game. They do it as well, where they have like massive crowds and the crowds are insane. But this was different. This was like 30 years of pent up aggression coming out, which was crazy. All right, let's get into the card. And guys, if you have lasted this long into the episode, make sure you put a comment in saying that, you know, we made it this far, and comment where you're from in the world. Put your flag, put your country name. Tell us where you're from. America. No, I'm just joking.
Hey.
Hey,
leave us alone.
Hey, apparently Canadians are all the assholes. Anyways, all right. So starting off with the pre-match, it was Madcap Moss and the Street Profits against Theory and Alpha Academy. Man, you remember this storyline with Theory was rolling with Alpha Academy? Like, yes. It feels like so long ago.
It feels like forever ago.
And that match was only 6 minutes. 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Yes. We had Damage Control versus Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka in a 6 women's tag match. And Damage Control got the W. Okay? That's crazy. I think everyone's match of the year last year, Gunther with Imperium, with the returning Giovanni Vinci, and Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes. And it was a singles match, but they did have the guys out there, and it was for the IC title. We'll get into that. Just going to skip over that for a second. We'll get into that match. Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Edge, Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day in Finn Balor and Damian Priest, with one of the heel turns that you could see coming from the International Space Station. Seth freaking Rollins versus Matt Riddle, and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Another potential WrestleMania / SummerSlam style card. I think this card is stacked.
It is.
Let's just start with, I'm sorry, the worst match out of all three of these premium live events. Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler.
Oh.
They both look lost, and this is nothing against the competitors. They just don't work well together.
No.
It's almost like when you're playing GM mode and they say don't put a cruiserweight versus like a bruiser. You know what I mean?
It was a very crack ship. I don't know if you know what that means, but
no, I don't.
I'm a writer. Yeah, it was very cracky. Like, it just didn't make any sense to have both of them against each other. They're both so different.
Yeah.
Just always doing Liv dirty, I feel.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think Liv deserves that. Like, she had a very lackluster run as champion here, and
I honestly forgot.
Exactly.
I forgot that happened.
Exactly. That's
when
why
you were running it off, I was like, oh my God, that did happen.
and
oh my God.
and that's why I wanted to do Clash last, so we can actually talk more about some of this, because it's not as fresh.
Yeah.
I will say this, being in the crowd, nobody cared. And there was a lot of piped in sound for this event. And the crowd was singing like random songs during this match. It was crazy. I think me and one of the Wrestle Talkers actually went and got a couple of drinks for everyone, just because it was just and that says something for a title match. So it was unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm gonna just go right into the other women's match: Damage Control versus Bianca, Bliss, and Asuka.
It's a really weird pairing to think of right now, looking back. Like,
I know.
What?
I know, and it's like, I know the feud is coming out of like the return of Damage Control and Bayley at SummerSlam and feuding. They had to stick someone with Bianca in a face situation.
Was Bianca still champion at this time?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was champion. Because she had just beaten Becky at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And and you remember Damage Control returned
at SummerSlam.
And Becky squared up, and they shook hands, and Becky went face.
Okay.
So it was an okay match for nearly 20 minutes. Again, when you put a lot of different styles in the match, and I think Io returning, Dakota returning, not really feeling themselves just yet. Dakota hadn't done anything in forever.
Right.
She'd only been back for a month.
They were still so new.
Yeah, it was okay. The crowd was all about Bayley. Hey, we want some Bayley, and that chant went on the whole match. I don't care what anyone says watching it back. That went the whole match. It was crazy. So you know what? I wasn't disappointed, but it's just a lot of weird dynamics in this one. Yeah. Edge and Ray versus the Judgment Day. Like I said, in a heel turn that you could see coming from the International Space Station or from a black hole somewhere in space. Dominic turning on his dad. Let's go to the match first. You know what? Forget the match. I'm just going to go right into what happened at the end. This needed to happen.
Yes.
Dominic needed to get out of his dad's shadow, and oh my God, has he flourished since then.
It's weird to think that was the catalyst, because that's really the thing I remember about it, was the heel turn, and to see how that has built and spiraled and where he is.
Yep.
Like,
he's one of the hottest heels in WWE right now, and he's getting good heat. He's getting good heat. Like Kevin talked to you about this on the show the other day, and it's like there's go away heat that like Baron Corbin gets. It's like, why are you on my TV? Go away.
Poor Baron.
And then there's what Dominic's getting is true heel, gritty heat.
Man can't even talk. They won't even let him speak.
Exactly. And it's so good, and it's making me care about Dominic Mysterio now. And I will say something with this whole segment that happened. When he punted Edge, he actually lost his shoe. And what you didn't really see is in a split second, he just steps aside, pulls his other shoe off, throws it away, and gives himself balance. Such a professional move that you didn't even notice it happened. You didn't even notice unless you watch it back. And then bringing back history with the lariat that Ray received from Eddie when Eddie turned on him back in the day, and also when I believe Batista turned on him as well. It was the same. Everyone does the same move to Rey Mysterio. You think he'd learn, but like bringing that back was just, it was such good storytelling. So for the end of the match, that was great. I will say crowd participation when Metalingus hit, the loudest pop of the night.
Was it?
Next to Drew's Broken Dreams hitting, it was the loudest pop of the night. And they sang him in, and they sang him while he was in the ring. They just kept going. When the music went off, they were still singing. So typical European crowd. I can't always do the bias on that, but it's still like, it was great overall. Like the crowd was hot for this entire segment. So it was really good. Seth freaking Rollins versus Matt Riddle in a singles match.
So weird to think back on this.
It is, because this was probably the most violent build to a match of a war of words we've ever seen.
Personal. It was personal.
Oh, man. And it's kind of funny because I met Matt Riddle the day before the event, and I got to go to an autograph signing, and he's actually a really nice dude.
Is he?
He's got aggressively soft hands.
Does he really?
Oh, like you shake his hands, it's like butter. Like, it was weird.
Bro moisturizes.
Yo, bro moisturizes. I'll tell you, he must be using that hemp seed or something. But I'll tell you right now, considering the path that Matt Riddle went down following this event and all the troubles he had, this was a great build.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the match itself was, I think, one of the best matches of the night, personally.
Again, you have Seth Rollins in a match.
Exactly. Go ahead.
No, that's the thought.
Yeah, and
Seth Rollins is in the match.
And then obviously this was around the start, like where it really started to pick up, his theme song getting sung in.
Yeah.
And like 63,000 people singing it and nonstop. It went the full 18 minutes of this match. They sang it.
Did they really?
They sang it the entire 18 minutes, and people are like, "Oh, like it piped down." No, it didn't. The crowd might have turned it down on the TV, but they sang it
that was
the full
60-something thousand people. Like,
yeah, they sang it the full 18. It was crazy. It was crazy. But this match was so good. I loved this match. And didn't he do a top rope stomp to finish this? Or
I don't recall.
I think it was a top rope or a second rope stomp, and Riddle was like standing, like half standing.
Oh yes. Yep.
Great. I loved it. Gunther versus Sheamus. Literally last year's match of the year. It was 19 minutes of brutality. They
were so behind them too.
Yeah, well, it's two European guys. It's the Austrian versus the Irish, and obviously there was a lot of Irish there. Holy shit, was there a lot of Irish there? Like, I felt outnumbered, I'll tell you that. But no, there was a lot of Irish there, and nobody sat for this match. Everyone stood watching this match, and it was kind of funny because the display up top was very small. The screens were very small, so you were literally watching the match. You couldn't really see it. And I think the screen went out through this match as well. So
I think I've seen clips of that, I believe.
Yeah, so this match, for what it was, two big meaty men slapping meat, and it was I can watch this match over and over and over. It was like the stalemate of them just standing there while Imperium and the Brawling Brutes beat the shit out of each other until they went to the back.
I kind of really want to watch it. I know, yeah.
Have you not seen this match?
Before we started, I talked about how I thought this was my 30th birthday and I was in Florida. No, this actually, I believe I was working.
Okay.
And so I only caught the tail end of it, and I kept trying to.
You would have been working because it's a Saturday and it was a midday for the US. It would have started at 3 or something like. Yep. No, it would have started at 2 in the US.
So I caught the tail end of Rollins and Riddle, and then I got to see Roman and Drew.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and going into Roman and Drew and how they built Drew McIntyre up for this match, like the homegrown boy, even though he's from Scotland and this was in Wales, is okay, whatever.
It's at a castle.
Great Britain, yeah. Yay.
Sword.
Yeah. So, I fucking love this match. This match had everything. Typical Roman bloodline storyline, but this was also when Theory had the Money in the Bank as well. So
that's right.
Yeah, there was the Theory run-in, which I think was the most comedic run-in of all of his. Tyson Fury just randomly in the crowd gives him a right hook and knocks him out cold. And if you actually go watch that clip back, he actually connects.
Oh, Tyson hit him.
Tyson hit him.
I got him.
I was like, Yo, and the crowd popped. The crowd popped. It was crazy. But one of the, like this match overall, the return of Broken Dreams, which people were begging for. Drew was teasing it on his Twitter for like a month before, which I was just getting goosebumps. I popped when it hit because like Broken Dreams is one of my favorite theme songs of all time. Like certain people in Straight Shoot Santi think it's like an overrated song, but this is one of my favorite theme songs of all time. So being able to give that little segment, and then obviously Roman's entrance taking like 27 minutes for him to get to the ring.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like this was all entrance, and then they went for a 30-minute match, which I thought was 45, but it was all entrances at the start. So that's why I thought it was such a long match, but it was a 31-minute match.
I got in my car to go home from work and I clipped my phone into my little vent thing and I turned on the pay-per-view, and it took the amount of time, 20 something minutes, for me to drive home with Roman's entrance before anything even happened. I got home.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
That's funny. But yeah, like it was the battle of the entrances. It was the battle of two big boys that can move in the ring, and they put on a 5-star match in my mind. I don't care what Schmelzer says. That was a 5-star match. But
Dave who?
Who? Uncle Dave?
Who's that?
Uncle Dave. But then we had the debut, just as we thought Drew was gonna do it. The hooded figure that is Solo Sikoa. He pulls the referee out of the ring, and it's now 1, 2, 3 Roman Reigns, and the bloodline is whole. Long-term storytelling that we have grown to love in the early reign of the Triple H era. What are your overall feelings on this entire match? And then we'll get into the card.
The overall match, great. There was a lot, it's a long match for one.
Yeah.
There was just so much that was going on, but I really was at the time, I feel like I really was pulling for Drew. Mm-hmm. Just the reactions of the people to him in the crowd, being over in Europe in general. I was really hoping, but hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Looking back now and knowing where we've ended up from, Solo showing up and the eventual lead build and decline of the bloodline.
Yeah.
It's another one I think I definitely want to watch back because I hopped onto it at the end. But yeah, I forgot about a lot of the matches that were on this card, and I forgot about that match and the place that Drew McIntyre was in at that time, because we haven't even seen Drew
since Mania.
And how long? Yeah.
So now we look at it and we're like, fuck that. Like, you look at what the story was back then and how Triple H has changed everything, but now even then he was able to make something out of nothing with a massive audience. The first full international audience that I think we've seen in a long time. So, overall, let's do it. Did the card meet expectations? And I'm trying to not be biased here.
You can be. You were there.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm trying not to be biased, because it was meeting, for me, it's the entire experience. It was meeting everyone I got to meet. It was the day before the event, the day after the event, the night out after. Like,
you had the full experience.
Oh, God bless. It was so good. And that stadium is so big. I think it's the biggest stadium I've ever been in.
60-something thousand people.
Yeah, but it was also a rugby stadium too, so the floor is bigger.
So I have a question though. So you were at both Chamber and Clash.
Yeah.
What is like the sound difference between being at Chamber versus being at Clash? Like, is that noticeable?
Yeah,
for the amount of
so
people?
it's constant noise when there's that many people in 60,000, and it's high level noise for a short period of time when it's like 17,000 people. So like when they're singing like ole 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 and it dies out, like it feels like the entire arena goes quiet. Mm-hmm. But in a stadium that is 60 plus thousand, you're just hearing noise.
Right.
You know, so all right. Crowd participation. I only have one answer for that. Just because of how long they sang Seth Rollins in. 20 straight minutes of singing in Seth Rollins. It was fucking amazing. And then wow factor. For me, this was the only out of the three that had other spots where you're like, that was so memorable. That was memorable. Like the Austin Theory cash in. Like I was like,
yeah,
you know,
that's very true.
This is the one I think that only had wow factor for me. So, okay. All right, you ready?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you have for did the card meet expectations?
I put an 8.
I put an 8 as well. I think there was a couple of misses there, but overall the ones that needed to perform performed.
Yep.
Crowd participation 10.
I put a 10.
If I could have put a 20, I would have. If I could have put a 20, I would have. Because that gave me like pure European gritty grimy fans vibes, and I loved it. And then what about wow factor? What did you put?
I put 8.5.
I put a 9.
Okay.
I put a 9. So my total is 27 out of 30. What about you?
My handy dandy calculator.
I love how your phone looks like a pencil case too.
Reflective. So at 26.5.
26.5. Okay. All right. So overall, let's break it down. Coming in third for myself was Elimination Chamber with 20 out of 30 total points. What about yours?
Third for me was also Elimination Chamber, 20.5 out of 30 points.
20.5?
Yep. Gotta have my decimals in there. I got my decimals.
All right.
I'm fancy.
Second for me was Backlash, and that was 24 out of 30. What was yours?
So my second was Clash. It was 26.5 out of 30.
26.5 out of 30. And my number one was Clash as 27 out of 30. And yours was Backlash at
26.75, which is only 0.25 more than Clash. So I like the way that actually, feel like that's pretty.
Exactly.
That's pretty fair.
Exactly. So I think overall, Wheezy, with what this whole discussion's been, is like we want more international events.
Absolutely.
I think just seeing the culture, you got to see the European culture at Clash. You got to see the Canadian culture in a different dynamic being in Quebec, which is a very different crowd than what you would get in Ontario or British Columbia in our other provinces. And then you also got to see San Juan, Puerto Rico, and those Latinos losing their minds, which we always love to see Latinos losing their minds. So
your girl needs to get a passport. I need to get a passport.
I think you need to get a passport because we got to get you up here to do an in-studio video, right? Hey, if Too Tall Tyler was able to get a passport in 4 weeks, I think you can too. So shout out Too Tall Tyler. Anyways,
Too Tall Tyler.
No, so I think at the end of the day, this whole discussion is we want more international events, and I believe we will get them. I heard a rumor that there could be one in February of next year in Perth, Western Australia. In a place called the Subiaco Oval, which I have been to when I lived in Australia back in 2007. And there is a very good chance if that happens, I will fly down for that match or for that event. Hell yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, so hopefully, so y'all, this is what you need to do so your boy can go. Make sure you like, subscribe, and put the bell on if you guys have lasted 53 minutes in this video. Guys, I appreciate you guys being here. Wheezy, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wheezy Blonde, on Instagram at @Wheezy and on TikTok at Wheezy Blonde.
Yeah, guys, and you can find me on twitch.tv/MrTeshk. I am giving away an Xbox once we hit 10,000 followers, and on TikTok at MrTeshk and all other social media platforms at MrTeshk. Don't forget to put the bell on, like, subscribe, and if you have lasted this long, Wheezy, what are they going to comment about? We've got llamas, we've got pizza, and now what? What's the final one? Oh,
it's a great question. Do you got one?
Yeah. How about we just do this? What was their favorite event of these three?
Favorite.
favorite. I was slightly burping. I was slightly burping. I was slightly burping and it didn't come out. But yeah, guys, what was your favorite event out of these three? Clash at the Castle, Backlash, or Elimination Chamber? Let us know in the comments. And like always, be good people. Take care.